So, lads, today we're going to be talking a little bit about the WNBA and the WNBPA statements about the CBA deadline. This was from yesterday. I do want to apologize how late I've been to all of this news. Like, I'm literally, again, you guys can tell I'm not home on the other side of the country. I've been the last 6 weeks I've been living between two places, and the last month I've been freaking traveling over and back the country non-stop, or over two sides of the country non-stop. So I do want to apologize for being late to basically every new bit of news, and hopefully things will start to calm down soon. But everything will be good to go to start the season. That's the plan. So the WNBPA and the WNBA statement. The WNBA basically just said we want to build upon the league. We want we know. We want a deal that gives the best players more money, enhances the player experience, and supports the long-term growth. The WNBA players, and by the way, the players are in the right to argue for this. The WNBA are basically being like, well, what the players want isn't sustainable. I think if the players could guarantee the league will continue to grow, I think the league would make the deal. But there's no guarantee of that because everybody in the league is smart enough to know we are one Caitlin Clark injury away from this league going back to pre-2024. Not 2023, but everything lower in 2024. Like, we all know this league is nowhere near as culturally relevant right now as it was in 2024. In the summer of 2025, did First Take talk about any women's basketball? They talked about any of these sports shows. They talked about the first Angel Reese vs. Caitlin Clark game. They talked about Caitlin Clark against Liberty. And that was it. That was it. No one talked about Paige's 44-point game. No one cared. And that is a problem. And the league knows it's a problem. But the players, and this is where the kind of lack of professionalism on the player side comes in. Like, they're like reposting stuff about striking. They basically said here, at midnight, it expires. Despite demonstrating our willingness to compromise in order to get the deal done, they've shown no willingness. From what we've seen, the players have said, this is what we want and we're not budging. And by the way, that's fine. I mean this when I say this. Until a game is missed, the players need to use every bit of leverage they have to get as much money as they can. As long as they don't overplay their hand and the season doesn't happen. Even if some of the games have to be played in alternate arenas because they're double booked, who cares? At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that the season happens. The players need to use every bit of leverage. It's a game of chicken that right now the owners are winning. Because, for lack of a better word, the owners aren't giving it to the players, and the players are saying dumb shit. Like, that's... So in the public eye, not that, like, anyone's really going to be pro-owner in this scenario, because fuck them. At the end of the day, I'm pro-basketball. It says here as well, the WNBA fails to meet us at the table with the same spirit and seriousness. Instead, they've remained committed to undervaluing player contributions. Today's display of an inflatable rat, a universal symbol of labour protest outside the NBA store, calls attention to the league and its teams have handled these negotiations. And genuinely what? I typed it in, rat, WNBA. There was no pictures of it. You would think people just going past the NBA store would be taking pictures of a big rat outside it. Because, again, the NBA store is what? Like, 3-minute walk from all those, like, Louis Vuitton. Is the Louis Vuitton building where it's just a bunch of, like, Louis Vuitton makeup bags and everyone takes pictures of that. If there's a big rat in the middle of Fifth Avenue, you would assume as much. But, it says here, by delaying and clinging to the status quo, they're jeopardising the livelihoods of players and trust and investment of fans. Look, I'm going to be honest with the players. Unless your name is Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Bueckers, Aja Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu, Breanna Steward, Nafisa Collier, if this league shuts down, and those 6 or 7 players that I've mentioned, if the league shuts down, and every city that has a team, because yes, there are cities that have fans, every city that has a team starts a breakout league, and every single player in the WNBA, except for those 6 players, doesn't play, and they all play in their markets, and then a bunch of random people off the street go and play in those cities, the league's not going to lose that much viewership. It is what it is. Like, you could replace this Connecticut Sun. You could get rid of the entire Connecticut Sun team, and you could replace them with an entire team of UConn alum who aren't in the league, and it would not affect attendance or viewership one bit. That is the reality. Like, the Connecticut Sun brand, there are teams that their brand is bigger than the players. There's about 6-7 players that are bigger than the brand. And the reality is that both sides are jeopardizing the future. Because I think everybody knows this isn't a case of, is there going to be a 2026 season? This is a case of, is this league going to exist or not? And who has more to lose by this league not existing? And I think the players have more to lose. That's just my opinion. I think the players should hold out. I think the players, they don't like what they get, they should hold out. They should absolutely hold out. No question about it. Get as much as you can get. Get every cent until you have to miss a game. And then from that moment onwards, the second one game is missed, you may as well, as a player, burn $5 million for a league of players who need that money. Because if you play 10 years in this league and you're an average player, you're going to make $5 million. That's just the way I'm looking at it. Most of this league, burning. The second the game is done, burn $5 million. And money's not being made up elsewhere. So your players care deeply about the fans, take pride and honour and loyalty every time they take part in the court. I don't believe that. Like, I mean that. And this is not a knock on certain players. It's not a knock on teams. It's not a knock on the league. I do not believe that the majority of WNBA players care about a single fan. I don't believe that. And that's not like a. I think they care about sport basketball. I think they care about their teammates. I think they care about a lot of things. I don't think a lot of them care about the actual fans. I don't. Like, and at the end of the day, I think there are players in the NBA that don't care about the fans. I think there are players in every sports league that don't give a flying fuck about the fans. I think most NBA players, with the entirety of the gambling shit and getting threats for parlays, I think most NBA players don't care about the fans. I'm going to be real, and I don't think the league give a shit about the fans either. They care about the fans' money. I think both sides care about the fans' money. I don't think the majority of the owners or the players give a flying fuck about the fans. That's just my opinion. They care about the fans' money, and that's it. And that's in nearly all aspects of life. In the entertainment industry, the misguided approach will not work. In the face of the league and team's actions, players remain undeterred, unafraid, and unwavering in their commitment to doing what's necessary to secure a transformational new CBA. This agreement must include a salary system tied to meaningful revenue share the league's done. The problem is the revenue share, because you can't actually argue revenue share because the league doesn't own the majority of the league. Like, that is where this is why the league are against the players, is their starting point and argument is an impossibility. Like, there's a world where, let's just say hypothetically, 30%, the 30% rev share that they're looking for is a 10 million salary cap. There's a world where they give them the salary cap, but don't give them the increase on the gross. Don't give them the 30% of the gross revenue, because, again, the operating costs are so high to run these WNBA teams, and the operating costs become even higher. If they gave them the money they wanted right now, and then a fixed 5% increase per year, something like the NBA get, they'd turn it down. It sounds like they literally want from the sounds of things, the WNBA players want a constantly fluctuating salary cap system based on the previous year's earning. And you better believe, like, people are like, oh, if the league fails with the revenue split, it's going to go down. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if the league failed and suddenly, if Caitlin Clark got injured if Caitlin Clark got, God forbid, tears her ACL and the league's revenue drops, the TV deal kicks in, whatever, the sponsorship comes in, and let's just say her career is done, and then they try to re-up the TV deal and they can't get the extra money they want. The operating costs are so high, teams aren't bringing in money, people aren't showing up to games. The leagues, it's like unrivaled, where like where you can buy near courtside seats for $50. First row off courtside for $50 for some games. And it's like, if it gets to that, and suddenly the salary cap goes from 1.3 million max to 600k max in a year because the league starts losing money again. The league starts like burning money. Like the league's not going to exist anyway. So at the end of the day, like it's a pay equity is not optional. They're using that buzzword of equity, and that's where I think the players are fucked. Like they're never going to get it. And there is an argument to be made. You can make the argument that, okay, burn it down. The WNBA made so many bad deals, burn it down, and we set up our own league. The problem is that people underestimate the name value of the NBA in basketball, especially if you are in America. If something is not tied to the NBA, no one gives a fuck. It doesn't matter who's playing. Genuinely, like I was in LA, and I got in pretty easily to see 4 NBA players playing in oh my god, I blanked on it. In the Drew League. Like, it is what it is. No one gives a fuck about most NBA players unless they're playing in the NBA. Just like, I'm sorry, no one is going to give a flying fuck about, I'm just trying to go just off the top of my head, a player that's relevant in the WNBA. Fucking Alyssa Thomas. And no one's going to give a damn about her playing in Project B. And then there's Project B to compete with as well. Like, I don't think Project B succeeds. Unrivaled is not going to succeed. Like, we've seen the numbers. Unrivaled won't succeed. The only thing Unrivaled will succeed in is for 2 or 3 years getting players paid. But that's it. That's all it's going to succeed in. But anyway, yeah, that's the video. I'm scared the players are overplaying their hand. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to criticize the players until a game is missed. I think they might be overplaying their hand. Until one game is missed, I am all for the players continuing to do whatever they can to get paid as much as possible until they miss one game of basketball, and then they're not only fucking over the current fans. If they miss a game if they start missing games and the season's done, the league's done, and if the WNBA is gone, I don't know what the future of women's basketball is, because Unrivaled is going to fail. Like there's not a if Unrivaled fails. Unrivaled is going to fail. We've seen the numbers. The only reason Unrivaled is making money, is generating money, is because they got a load of investor money who are never going to make their money back. People wanted to invest in women's sports just like they invested in crypto, just like they invested in these tech bros were getting in on this league because they thought it was a good investment, hence why Project B exists. Project B is a tech bros idea of a sports league. You also had the benefit of the Caitlin Clark boom, the potential that Caitlin Clark was going to play in the league. You also had Angel Reese, Sabrina Ionescu, all these players who aren't playing in the league, potentially getting A'ja Wilson. You have none of the top players other than Paige Bueckers in the league. And also, this isn't mentioned enough, they signed the Unrivaled, TNT signed the Unrivaled deal directly after they lost the NBA, just so they could keep basketball on the network. The TV deal was a panic sign by TNT. It's not going to be re-upped. It's not going to be re-upped considering it was dead last on primetime TV in the key demographic. But anyway, yeah, that's the video. See you guys.